My name is Dr. Joseph M. Munyua. Today, our lecture is titled as follows: Writing a Research Proposal. In this lecture, we are striving to explain the meaning and process of a research proposal, intended learning outcomes. After a successful completion of this lecture, the listeners of this work should be able to demonstrate the ability to write a good research proposal. A research proposal is a comprehensive plan or blueprint for the intended research that should be clearly written. A research proposal is a blueprint because it indicates a plan of action for the intended study, and it is a document that will be used as a guide during the carrying out of the said study. In that vein, a research proposal is selectively written in the future tense, whilst the finished research is selectively written in the past tense. Typically, a good research proposal becomes the backbone of your study. Accordingly, a substandard research proposal can complicate the process of carrying out your study. Thus, the research warriors know that a good preparation for war is more important than the war itself. In this context, a research proposal should be treated as a special preparation for the forthcoming study. Besides, it is important to note that a research proposal may be prepared in order to seek an institutional approval for carrying out a particular study. Furthermore, a research proposal may be prepared in order to seek for grants in end of the real carrying out of the intended study. In addition, different institutions of higher learning have diverse contents and formats for a research proposal. Definitely, the process of a research proposal is not characterized by an immutable set of steps. Instead, the said process of a research proposal is an ever-changing process. Generally speaking, therefore, the following are the notable steps of a research proposal. First step: formulation of the title. The initial step of a research proposal involves the formulation of the appropriate title of your research proposal. The nature of the said title depends on, among other things, the type and duration of the intended study. Generally, even if the title of a research proposal should be concise, it should be clear, accurate, comprehensive, informative, and descriptive too. Besides, it should clearly indicate the researcher's area of study. Second step: making the title page. After the formulation of a good title of a research proposal, the researcher should create the title page. Normally, the title page is a cover page on which you should state the relevant personal, institutional, and research proposal information. Depending on the requirements of the intended receivers of a research proposal, the aforesaid relevant personal, institutional, and research proposal information may include the name of your institution of higher learning and other related details, such as the faculty and department within which your research proposal lies, the title of your research proposal, your name, details of contact, such as cell phone numbers and email addresses, and so forth. Third step: table of contents. The third step of a research proposal is about making the table of contents. At this point, the involved researcher should create and put the appropriate table of contents in the involved research proposal. Concisely, it is worthy to mention that the table of contents should be written last, specifically after a research proposal has been written. This cautious act enables the involved researcher to identify the major and minor sections of his or her research proposal, which should largely compose the table of contents. Fourth, but last step, writing an abstract. A research proposal in its entirety may be between 5,000 to 10,000 words in length. For that reason, the involved researcher should give a summary of his or her entire research proposal. Technically, this summary is called an abstract. An abstract should show the most significant parts of each of the sections of a given research proposal in about 250 words. Although it is in the fourth step, an abstract should be written last, to be precise, after the other parts of a particular research proposal have been written and wholly reflected on. Fifth step, listing the keywords. In some cases, the researcher may be required to list the keywords that are in his or her research proposal. Herein, the researcher should choose about 4 to 5 keywords which convey the main points of his or her research proposal. The said keywords can be single words or phrases of 2 to 4 words. In the internet realm, these keywords are the words and phrases which many readers will seek in order to have an access to your research proposal. Sixth step, introduction. After the aforementioned preliminary phases, the researcher should deal with the first major section of a research proposal, namely the introduction. In this section, the researcher should write down the details of the introductory chapter of the proposed study. Towards that end, this section may contain the background to the problem, the statement of the research problem, the purpose of the research objectives, the research questions, the scope of the research hypothesis, the justification of the study, then the limitations of the study, and the theoretical or the conceptual framework. Seventh step, literature review. The section of the literature review is a second major part of a research proposal. In this section, the researcher should show his or her awareness of the current and past works in the area of his or her topic and demonstrate that the intended study will make an imperative contribution to the said current and past works. To be brief, the researcher should evaluate and synthesize the current and past studies and therein distinguish the said studies from the anticipated study. Ultimately, the researcher should show the gap in knowledge that the said study will seek to fill. Eighth step, research methodology. In essence, depending on one's subject matter, the research methodology may occupy the longest part of a research proposal. The research methodology deals with the entire wholeness of the intended study. This section pays attention to the most suitable elements of one's appropriate research methodology. The research methodology varies in form according to the nature of the proposed study. Specifically, in one's research methodology, the required aspects, their organization, and their respective information depend on whether the proposed study is qualitative or quantitative. Ninth step, Button-Appendix, budget. In this section, the concerned researcher should make the projected budget for his or her intended study and give its justification. Giving justifying information of each cost can improve the quality of one's research proposal and attract some financial support for the intended study. 10th step, Button-Appendix, time schedule. The involved researcher should develop the time schedule in a table form. In this table, the researcher should indicate all assignments and the time he or she will require to complete each one of them. It is good to make the time schedule real and practical. 11th step, bibliography. In this case, the term bibliography denotes a list of all the sources that the involved researcher used, whether referenced or not. That is in the research proposal process. Typically, this bibliography is included in a research proposal as a separate page or pages. Note that it is usually put at the end of a research proposal and titled bibliography. 12th step, organize, proofread, bind, and submit. In this section, the researcher should organize all the elements of his or her research proposal in a way that creates a unified research proposal. Then, the researcher should proofread his or her finished research proposal. Last, the researcher should bind his or her finished research proposal and submit the same to the intended readers, authority, or charitable organizations for consideration. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.